All right, Eagles fans, buckle up because the madness in Philly is far from over. The NFL trade deadline may be in the rearview mirror, but for the Philadelphia Eagles, the drama is just getting started. You can almost feel the buzz around the NovaCare complex right now, and honestly, it's hard not to get caught up in it. Howie Roseman has been working those phones like a man possessed, pulling off move after move, and now we've got a much clearer picture of what this roster is going to look like for the stretch run of the season. Let's get into everything that's been going down, because there's a lot to unpack. First off, the big story of the day, Nolan Smith is back. Man, that's music to the ears of every Eagles fan out there. The team officially opened up his practice window, and seeing number 3 back on the field is just pure energy. This guy brings a vibe that's hard to explain unless you've watched him up close. He's got that explosiveness, that lightning burst off the line, the kind of speed that forces offensive tackles to panic. And even though he's not the biggest guy out there, he's got the toughness to set the edge against the run. That's the kind of versatility Vic Fangio loves in his defense. We all remember how dominant Nolan was during that playoff stretch last year. 6 sacks in the regular season, another 4 in the postseason, leading everyone in that category. The dude was a wrecking ball until that heartbreaking triceps tear in the Super Bowl. Then, just when it looked like he was on the comeback trail, he re-aggravated the same injury in Week 3 against the Rams. It felt like the worst kind of déjà vu. But credit to him, his recovery has been unreal. He was already back on the field during training camp, looked sharp to start the year, and now, after another setback, he's ready to roll again. He even teased it on his Instagram. 1 more week, and then I'm back. You know he's been counting the days to put that midnight green jersey back on. If all goes according to plan, we should see him under the bright lights of Lambeau Field against the Packers. And man, that's going to be a show. That Eagles pass rush has been a bit inconsistent. Sometimes they look unstoppable, other times a bit flat. The interior has been dominant, with Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, and Moro Ojomo putting in serious work. But on the edges, they've been missing that spark. Getting Nolan Smith back changes everything. And now, with Jalen Phillips coming over in that trade, things just got even more interesting. The Eagles sent a 3rd-round pick to get Phillips, and let's be honest, that's a steal for the kind of production and upside he brings. Add in the surprise return of Brandon Graham, and suddenly the defensive line rotation looks nasty again. You got Nolan Smith and Jalen Phillips likely starting, Jix Hunt and Josh Uche rotating in, and then the legend Brandon Graham as that 5th rusher, ready to bring the fire when it matters most. That's a group built for chaos. Even though Nolan didn't record a sack before going down, he was playing some solid football. The energy, the hustle, the physicality, all of it was contagious. According to the analytics guys, he had a solid overall grade through those first 3 games, and while grades aren't everything, they showed what we already knew. He was affecting plays even when he wasn't hitting the quarterback. 8 pressures, 7 hurries, that's real production. And when you combine his speed with the power and versatility of Phillips, that's a terrifying duo for any offensive line. Jalen Phillips isn't just some average edge rusher. Since Week 3, he's been one of the most disruptive players in football. He can play inside, outside, stand up, or put his hand in the dirt. He's a perfect fit for Fangio's system, which is all about flexibility and creating pressure without having to blitz. When he landed in Philly, you could tell he was hyped. He told reporters at the airport, "I'm not lying. I wouldn't want to be with any other organization than the Eagles." That says it all. He knows what this franchise is about: winning, culture, and accountability. Plus, he's reuniting with Fangio, the same defensive coordinator who helped him put up 6.5 sacks in just 8 games back in 2023. The chemistry is already there. Of course, these new additions meant a few roster shuffles had to happen. Patrick Johnson got released from the active roster, though it wouldn't be a surprise to see him back on the practice squad soon. The Eagles also cut wide receiver Terrace Marshall, which likely opens a spot for Johnson to return once waivers clear. You can tell Howie Roseman has been thinking 3 moves ahead, as always. Every little adjustment feels like part of a bigger plan. Speaking of Howie, the man himself finally spoke to the media and broke down everything that's gone on this past week. And what a week it's been. In just a few days, he managed to land Michael Carter II, trade for cornerback Jaire Alexander, and grab Jalen Phillips, all while keeping the core of this roster intact. That's surgical precision. When he talked about these moves, he made it clear there's a strategy behind every decision. With Alexander, for example, he admitted the Eagles had been interested in him for a while. The veteran corner didn't get much playing time in Baltimore, but when healthy, he's a difference maker. And guess what? He's getting healthy again. Plus, he's reuniting with defensive backs coach Christian Parker, who he worked with back in Green Bay. That familiarity could make his transition seamless. As for Michael Carter, too, that might be one of the more underrated pickups of the week. The guy has been a lead in the slot for most of his career, but Roseman hinted he could also play safety. That's huge for a team that's been thin at that position. Fangio loves corners who can tackle and play physical against the run, and Carter fits that mold perfectly. It also gives the coaching staff more flexibility to mix and match coverages, something Fangio thrives on. Roseman even mentioned how the first half of the season really exposed just how critical cornerback depth is. The injuries piled up, and now he's determined not to let that happen again. And for everyone out there who kept floating those wild A.J. Brown trade rumors, yeah, Howie shut that down real quick. He said, "It's hard to be great without great players," and that pretty much ends a conversation. Why on earth would you move on for one of the top 3 receivers in football when you're trying to win a Super Bowl? AJ is a captain for a reason. He sets the tone for that locker room. Roseman knows that. The fans know that. And the rest of the league should, too. When asked about the Jalen Phillips trade, Howie said something that really sums up the mindset of this team. "We have a thought process for what makes us elite and how we can win championships." He pointed right back to the pass rush. You think about what the Eagles did in that Super Bowl against Patrick Mahomes. 16 pressures, 6 sacks, and they didn't blitz once. That's the identity. Build the trenches, dominate the line of scrimmage, and let everything else fall into place. That's what makes this team dangerous. The Phillips deal wasn't just about adding talent. It was about reinforcing the blueprint that's gotten them this far. While the Eagles were busy fine-tuning their roster, the rest of the NFL went absolutely wild. The Cowboys, Jets, Seahawks, Bears, all of them making moves left and right. It felt like one of those trade deadlines that we're going to remember for years. And in the middle of all that chaos, the Eagles quietly did what they always do. Made smart, strategic moves that make them better today and stronger tomorrow. You can feel it, right? That shift in momentum, that spark coming back to the defense. With Nolan Smith returning, Jalen Phillips arriving, and that veteran presence of Brandon Graham anchoring the group, this Eagles front is once again built to wreck games. The schedule ahead isn't easy, but that's exactly how this team likes it. Adversity sharpens them. Every challenge is just another chance to prove why this franchise remains one of the most well-run, well-built organizations in football. And you just get the sense that Howie's not done yet. The rest of the league didn't stay quiet either, and the ripple effect of this trade deadline could shape the entire playoff picture. The Cowboys made one of the biggest splashes early in the morning, pulling off a trade for linebacker Logan Wilson from the Bengals. Wilson's a smart, instinctive player, a team captain in Cincinnati, and a guy who can help bring some leadership to that struggling Dallas defense. But let's be real, the Cowboys have way bigger problems than one linebacker can fix. Their defense has been inconsistent, and adding Wilson might patch a hole, but doesn't change the fact that they're still miles away from what the Eagles are doing in the trenches. Wilson's solid, but he's not going to turn that group into a top-tier unit overnight. Then there was the move between Jacksonville and Las Vegas that caught everyone's attention. The Jaguars went after Jacoby Myers, who's in the final year of his contract, sending a 4th and 6th round pick to the Raiders. For Jacksonville, it makes sense. They needed a reliable receiver after losing Travis Hunter for the season. Myers is that guy who doesn't wow you with flashy stats, but delivers when it counts. For the Raiders, it was about moving on from a player who didn't seem happy and wasn't part of their future plans. It's one of those trades where both sides win. Jacksonville gets help now, Vegas gets draft capital later. But the wildest moves of the day came out of New York. The Jets were in the middle of everything, turning the league upside down. They shocked everyone by trading Sauce Gardner to the Colts for 2 first-round picks and wide receiver Adonai Mitchell. Think about that. Sauce Gardner, a guy they just paid, gone in the blink of an eye. It's one of those trades that feels crazy in the moment, but might make sense down the line if the Jets are thinking full rebuild. For Indianapolis, it's a statement. They're going all in, try to push for something big this season. Pairing Gardner with that young, fast defense they already have could turn them into a legitimate contender in the AFC. And while everyone was trying to catch their breath from that, the Seahawks quietly made one of the most underrated trades of the day. They added Rashid Shaheed, one of the fastest, most electrifying receivers in the game, a deep threat who can take the top off any defense. Seattle's offense just went from dangerous to flat-out scary. Imagine Shaheed stretching the field alongside Jackson Smith-Njigba, Cooper Kupp when he returns, and Torrey Horton. Their speed, precision, and veteran savvy all rolled into one unit. And Sam Darnold, who's been quietly putting together one of the best stretches of his career, just got another weapon to work with. The Saints picked up a 4th and 5th round pick for Shaheed, which is good value, but Seattle might have stolen one here. That team is built to make noise in the playoffs. Meanwhile, in Chicago, the Bears weren't staying quiet either. After losing a key piece to a torn Achilles, they swung a deal for Joe Tryon from Cleveland. He's a former first-round pick, a guy who never quite found his rhythm in Tampa Bay, but still has the athletic tools to be a difference-maker. Maybe a change of scenery is all he needs. Chicago's defense has been desperate for someone to generate pressure off the edge, and Tryon's versatility could give them that spark they've been missing. Then, as if the Cowboys hadn't already made enough headlines, they went out and landed Quinnen Williams from the Jets. Yes, you heard that right. Quinnen Williams, one of the most dominant defensive linemen in the entire NFL, now wearing that silver and blue. Dallas sent Motzie Smith, a second-round pick in 2026, and a first-rounder in 2027 to make it happen. On paper, it looks massive. Williams is a monster against the run and can collapse the pocket like few others. But when you dig deeper, it's clear this move might not be as clean as it seems. The Cowboys have struggled mightily against the run, and sure, Williams will help with that. But they're also inheriting a huge contract. He's set to make over $20 million in each of the next 2 seasons. For a team that's already got massive cap commitments, that's risky business. The Cowboys are trying to make a push, but you get the feeling this is more of a desperation play than a master plan. The Chargers also jumped into the mix, clearly feeling the pressure. They traded for Trevor Penning, the former first-round offensive lineman from the Saints. Los Angeles has been desperate to protect their quarterback, and Penning could help stabilize things. It's a low-cost gamble, sending just a 6th-round pick in 2027, but if Penning can stay healthy and rediscover his form, it might turn out to be one of the smarter depth moves of the week. And just when it seemed like everything had settled down, the Jets made one last move about an hour after the deadline passed, sending cornerback Jair Taylor to the Chargers for a conditional pick in 2028. It was like the league couldn't stop dealing, even when the window had technically closed. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our Philadelphia Eagles. And don't be shy. Share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Shockwaves are rippling through the NFL this morning as whispers emerge that Jalen Hurts, the star quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles, has requested a trade. Sources close to the team claim Hurts reportedly exclaimed, "I can't take this situation anymore." Words that have sent fans and analysts into a frenzy. The Eagles, who have built their offense around Hurts over the past few seasons, now face an uncertain future if the rumor proves true. The circumstances surrounding Hurts' alleged dissatisfaction remain murky, but insiders suggest tensions within the locker room and management may have reached a breaking point. Known for his leadership and tireless work ethic, Hurts has long been a fan favorite, guiding the Eagles to multiple playoff appearances and a Super Bowl run. Yet, despite his on-field heroics, whispers of frustration have circulated for months, and today they seem impossible to ignore. If Hurts is serious about leaving, the NFL landscape could shift dramatically. Teams in need of a franchise quarterback are likely already circling, imagining the impact of pairing one of the league's most dynamic dual-threat quarterbacks with their roster. Meanwhile, Eagles fans are left grappling with a mixture of disbelief and concern, wondering whether the team can maintain its competitive edge without the man who has become the face of their franchise. Reactions on social media were swift and explosive, with hashtags calling for Hurts to stay trending within minutes. Analysts debate whether the Eagles' front office can salvage the situation, perhaps by addressing whatever internal conflict have driven Hurts to the brink, or if a high-profile trade is inevitable. Rumors suggest the quarterback may have already outlined preferred destinations, though nothing has been officially confirmed. As the league braces for potential fallout, one thing is certain. If Jalen Hurts leaves Philadelphia, it will be one of the most seismic moves in recent NFL history, sending shockwaves through both fans and rival teams. Until then, speculation reigns supreme, and the city of Philadelphia watches anxiously, hoping this star quarterback doesn't disappear in the night. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Philadelphia Eagles, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.